Today, we are going to explore one of the oldest and the most important question of human existence. Does a higher power exist? God, Allah, Vaheguru, Krishna, Buddha, Yahweh. Different names, one question. Today, I'll walk you through the arguments for the existence of God and the ones against it. Chances are you already lean one way. Maybe you're a believer, and maybe you're an atheist. But today, I want to test that belief, no matter which side you're on. Because only when you challenge what you hold as truth, do you begin to understand why you hold it. So, let's begin. First, the design argument. Just look around. Everything seems too perfectly tuned to be random. The Earth orbits the exact distance from the Sun for life to happen. Your DNA carries coded instructions like a biological programming language. Your lungs exchange oxygen automatically. Seasons arrive on cue, and ecosystems balance themselves. When you see an iPhone, you assume an engineer made it because it's complex and functional. Many say that universe is the same, too complex to have designed itself. But do all complex systems need a designer? Rivers carve elegantly through mountains, not because somebody drew them, like I used to draw them in my art and craft class, but because water simply follows laws of physics. Evolution shows natural selection can build complexity over time without direction. Maybe we see design ourselves because our brains are wired to see patterns, even when none exist. Second, personal experience. Across culture and centuries, people describe moments that defy explanations. Visions during prayer, and overwhelming peace in meditation, and near-death experiences. A mother prays for a sick child, and the child recovers. A monk spends years in silence and feels one with the universe. These stories move us, not because they prove something, because they feel real. But our experience is reliable evidence of truth. People also report seeing ghosts, aliens, and miracles that contradict each other. Hindus see Krishna, Christians see Jesus, and Muslims see their prophet. If all experiences lead to different gods, can they all be true? Or are they just glimpses shaped by our culture and the belief that we were born in? Maybe what we call divine experience is just the mind's way of reaching for meaning, a reflection of our deepest hopes, fears, and longing to feel connected to something greater. Third, the cosmological argument. Everything that exists has a cause. A spark causes a fire, parents cause children, and builders build things. So, if the universe began to exist, it too must have a cause, God. Science can only track back the existence of the universe till the Big Bang, and it does not explain what happened before the Big Bang. Philosophers like Aristotle to Leibniz call this mystery the unmoved mover, a cause that itself needs no cause. But if everything needs a cause, who caused God? And if God does not need a cause, then why can't the universe itself be eternal? This is often called the God of the gaps idea. Wherever and whenever science hasn't explained something, believers fill the gap with God. But as science advances, those gaps keep shrinking. So the real question becomes, is God the creator of the gaps or of the whole system that makes discovery possible? Now to the arguments against the existence of higher power. First, burden of proof. Atheists say that if you claim God exists, prove it. They say that faith is not testable like gravity. Example, if I said that an invisible unicorn is actually running your government, you would demand some sort of proof from me. But if in return, I just say that you prove that unicorn doesn't exist, you would actually call me crazy. Extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. But maybe God isn't measurable by our existing set of toolkit. Centuries ago, people couldn't see galaxies because telescopes were not invented. Maybe Our instruments and our brains aren't just advanced enough to perceive God. Second, psychological explanations. Some say belief in God is less about divinity and more about how our brains are designed. We fear death, crave meaning, and search for patterns even in chaos. That's why students pray before exams, patients pray before surgery, and even atheists whisper a silent hope when life takes a darker turn. Faith in those moments become an anchor, not proof, but comfort. But explaining why people believe doesn't make the belief false. That's called a genetic fallacy, judging truth by its origin. If I said scientists only research for grant money, so their discoveries are fake, you would laugh at me. Maybe God designed the very psychology that drives us to seek something higher, a compass within the chaos pointing towards meaning. Third, the problem of evil. If God is all powerful, all knowing, and why does so much suffering exist? The Nirbhaya case, the Holocaust, 9/11, child trafficking, deadly tsunamis, moments where humanity asks, where was God? And if he can stop all evil but doesn't, what does that say about his nature? Maybe free will is part of the answer here. If God stopped every wrong choice, we'd just be puppets, not humans. Good parents don't control every decision. They let their children stumble, fail, and grow. Maybe nature follows the same law. The same tectonic plates that cause earthquakes also build mountains. The same storms that destroy also renew the earth. Maybe creation's beauty and brutality are two sides of the same coin.
There is a Sanskrit verse which is Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vedanti, which means truth is one, the wise call it by many names. Maybe the real question isn't does God exist, but what does this search reveal about us being human? My personal rule is whenever I encounter one of my own existing beliefs, I immediately look for the opposite facts. It quickly humbles me and breaks my biases. See, no one has all the answers, and there's no shame in admitting that I don't know. So, you might all be wondering, what do you think? Does God exist or not? I won't tell you, because if I do, you will stop thinking for yourself, and that's not the point here. So, think, question, and discuss below. Does a higher power exist? And please be respectful, whether you're a believer, an atheist, or an agnostic. Every opinion matters. So let's keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep growing. See you in the next video.